He understood too late that silence could be a decision. Not a neutral one, not an empty space, but a choice that moved things forward while he stood still. By the time he noticed what his quiet had allowed, the shape of the damage was already set. On that morning, nothing looked unusual. The room was still, the air flat and clean. He sat at his desk, reading the same message again and again, telling himself there was time. He believed that if he waited, the problem might soften on its own. It did not. His name was Elias. He lived alone in a small apartment where every object had its place. He woke at the same hour each day, ate the same breakfast, left the building at the same minute. His routine was not strict out of joy, but out of relief. Order made him feel protected. Elias worked in an office that handled internal reports for a large organization with no public face. The work was quiet. Files came in, numbers were checked, summaries were sent upward. He was good at it. Not fast, but careful. People trusted his calm way of speaking and his habit of listening more than talking. That trust was important to him. He had learned early that being noticed could be dangerous, but being dependable felt safe. So he avoided strong opinions. He avoided conflict. He let others speak first. Most days passed without friction. He arrived, greeted his colleagues, worked, ate lunch alone, worked again, then went home. The rhythm was dull, but stable. He told himself this was enough. The first sign arrived as a minor detail. A report that did not align. A set of figures that leaned slightly to one side. Elias noticed it immediately. His eyes paused. His breath slowed. He checked the source twice. Then a third time. The numbers were not wrong in a simple way. They were shaped wrong. As if someone had pressed gently on one corner and changed the balance. Elias leaned back and waited for the familiar sense of certainty to arrive. It did not. He considered sending a note. A small message asking for clarification. But he imagined the reply. Short. Defensive. Tired. He imagined being seen as difficult, or worse, dramatic. He told himself it was probably nothing. A temporary distortion. Someone else would catch it later. Someone higher up. So he saved the file and moved on. Over the next weeks, similar details appeared. Small changes. Slight shifts. Each one alone was harmless. Together, they formed a quiet pattern. Elias noticed them all. He wrote notes for himself. He told himself he was being responsible by observing first. He did not tell anyone. At night, he began to feel restless. Not anxious, not afraid. Just alert. His sleep became lighter. He woke before his alarm, unsure why. He replayed his days in his mind. Nothing stood out. No arguments. No raised voices. Still, something pressed against him from the inside. He told himself this was normal. Everyone felt pressure sometimes. He was imagining meaning where there was none. One afternoon, his supervisor stopped by his desk. The man spoke gently, as always, and asked if everything was going smoothly. Yes, Elias said. The word came out easily. The supervisor nodded and moved on. Elias felt a brief relief, followed by a sharp, quiet disappointment in himself. He did not know why. Soon, the reports began to influence decisions. New instructions arrived. Timelines shifted. A department was quietly reduced. People asked questions, then stopped asking. Elias saw the connection. He could trace it clearly now. The numbers he had seen were being used to justify actions that felt wrong. Still, he said nothing. He told himself that speaking now would make things worse. That it would draw attention to his earlier silence. That he might be blamed for not acting sooner. The thought of that blame made his chest tighten. He began to avoid eye contact. He spoke less. His careful calm turned into withdrawal. At home, he stopped cooking. He ate simple food, standing by the sink. He kept the lights low. One evening, he opened the old notebook where he had written his observations. He read the pages slowly. Each note was clear. Each one showed a moment when he could have acted. He closed the notebook and placed it back in the drawer. The inner conflict grew quietly. It was not loud or dramatic. It lived in small choices. Delay. Avoidance. Rational thought that sounded reasonable in the moment. He told himself he was protecting his position. That he was avoiding chaos. That the system was larger than him. Yet another part of him knew the truth. His silence was helping the pattern continue. When a colleague was moved to another unit without explanation, Elias felt the weight shift. The office grew quieter. Conversations became shorter. Smiles felt practiced. Elias felt watched, though no one was watching him. He began to think about what would happen if the pattern was exposed. Investigations. Meetings. Blame. He imagined being asked why he had not spoken earlier. He imagined having no answer that would sound clean. The first clear consequence came when a summary he prepared was used to finalize a decision that closed a small internal program. The program had helped people quietly. No one talked about it much. Now it was gone. Elias stared at the confirmation message on his screen. His name was at the bottom. That night, he did not sleep at all. The next morning, he arrived early. The office lights were still dim. He sat at his desk and opened a blank message. He began to write. Slowly. Carefully. He explained what he had seen. He listed dates. He attached files. Halfway through, he stopped. He imagined the chain reaction. He imagined his supervisor's face. He imagined being called into a room with closed doors. He imagined losing everything that made his life predictable. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He closed the message without sending it. From that moment, the pressure increased. The pattern accelerated. Decisions came faster. There was less room for doubt. Elias was now fully aware of his role. He was no longer just observing. He was part of the process. Each time he completed a task, he felt a dull ache behind his eyes. He began to feel detached, as if watching himself from a distance. His voice sounded unfamiliar to him. His reflection felt slightly wrong. Colleagues stopped asking his opinion. They assumed agreement. The narrowing of choices became clear when a new instruction arrived that required him to adjust a summary in a way that would hide the distortion.